Hi there, this is Bo.
And this is Jerry.
And this is Don't Insult My Intelligence.
It's the podcast that questions, challenges, and exposes things that just insult our intelligence.
And those things can come from anywhere. Politics, society, music, movies, television, wherever.
Yep, and we're going to talk about it all. And in most cases, it's probably going to piss some people off. Parents, be warned that this podcast is not for kids. It's PG-13 at best and a hard R at most other times.
A little background. Jerry and I have been friends since high school, and we've always thought and lived a little outside of the norm, and we generally push the edge on most topics.
Mm-hmm. And when we were young, Bo's dad, when he would bust us doing stuff, as dads will do, when we tried to argue any kind of BS explanation to him, he would just stop and stare us straight in the face and just say, "Don't insult my intelligence."
Yeah, that was one of his most frequent sayings, so we heard that quite a bit growing up.
So we thought it'd make a great podcast concept, and here it is.
So here we go.
Don't insult my intelligence.
Hey there, here's Bo with a quick supplemental intro. First off, on this podcast, just want to apologize for the sound quality. We were having problems with one of our microphones, so we were only able to use one instead of two. So the sound is not as great as we would want it to be. We tried to fix a little bit in post-production, but still not great. So the sound quality will get better in other episodes as we work out our technical process. So here we go. Thanks for listening.
So today we're going to talk about posting on social media and how your memes and your posts are not activism. There's, anybody that's on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter, you have your friends, and you might be one of them, and everybody kind of does it from time to time because you can't help it, because it's easy. You forward on or you post, or you might be one of the rare people that actually create content and put them out there. And it's fun, but there's some people out there that we've run across, and Jerry, I know you've run across quite a few of them, that believe they're actually being part of the cause, being an activist.
Right.
And the issue that we want to talk about is don't insult my intelligence. Your digital posts are not activism.
Not a bit. In general, like you were saying, and on social media, and when we say social media for this topic, I guess mostly you're going to see it on Facebook and Twitter. But I think you need to some of these people need to get their head around the fact that there's activism and then there's rants.
Right.
And 9 times out of 10, if not more than that, what you're seeing on there are rants. There's no true activism.
Right.
At least, I take that back. There is, but when I say that, because I think the problem is, I'm saying there's no true activism in my bubble, right? Mm-hmm. On my Facebook page and the people I'm friends with, when I see them posting these things, that's not activism, that's just raving. That's just spitting out your anger or your frustration.
Yeah. And I've heard people call, and I've kind of latched on this term, I like it, is recreational outrage. It's like folks, they look at what today am I either going to be mad about or post something out there so it appears as though I'm part of the cause, I'm part of the solution.
Right.
And I get it, like inside your bubble, it's rare that you see people actually going out and helping that change and actually evoking that change to occur, whatever it is. Stop killing animals, stop doing this, no GMO corn, whatever it might be of the day.
Right.
What are people actually doing beyond just posting something out there?
And it's funny that you say that, because I guess too, there are examples of people that have done things that I know of firsthand.
Sure.
But again, with their actions, I question, is that activism, or is that just you looking to get yourself in the middle of a problem?
Right.
For me, meaning like where I am, the whole monument situation.
Sure.
All the monuments.
Sure.
All the Civil War monuments.
Civil War monuments. Yeah, and you just happen to be right in the middle of that, but that's a thing all over the country.
Right. But my point is,
go
people
ahead.
on Facebook, they'll post their opinion of it. and what side they're on, and that's fine. If that is what you're posting, your opinion and what side you lean toward. That's not activism. But then when like, oh, there's going to be a rally. Well, all you're doing is getting yourself wound up to go to that rally and cause a problem.
Right.
I don't necessarily view that as activism, and well, it hasn't been so far. At least I can tell you that.
Sure.
So,
It is kind of, you do see it is kind of a digital mob mentality.
it is.
And it provokes that mob mentality where their due process is just thrown out the window. It's like, okay, because there is some digital representation of the issue, a meme. And memes are good and memes are bad, but the meme is that captures that one slide, or where somebody's taken Instagram and typed in a little phrase, snarky phrase, which I do have to admit I like those sometimes.
Sure.
I like snarky phrases, and and those just get sent out there into the world, and that's really all they are. And then everybody just latches on, And a lot of times, so one of the things I wanted to talk about is talk about some examples of that.
Yeah.
Because I know you've got a bunch of good ones. Kind of talk about where why is it so fun to do that? Why it's the concept of piling on, because that's really all you're doing. You're really just piling on.
Right.
Unless you're the originator of it, you're really just piling on. Or in most cases, like you were saying in your little bubble, and I certainly see it in my little bubble, and I think it's reasonable for us to assume that all the little Facebook and Twitter bubbles and Instagram bubbles out there are probably similar to ours.
Sure.
Because not everybody in the world is Justin Bieber or Katy Perry with millions of followers.
Thank God.
So your reach is only so far.
Right.
So I kind of want to talk about that, but I do want to not just completely bash social media, because there are some positive things that are out there.
Absolutely.
So why don't we knock those out first?
Yeah.
Let's talk about the positives for 5 minutes, and then talk about the negatives for 45 minutes.
Like you said, so what you're going to hear now is how social media has actually been proven to work with true activism when done correctly. Is that what we're getting ready to hear?
Yeah, just a couple examples, and maybe you can think of another one. But the probably the most well-known examples of where it worked is in Egypt in 2008. The dictator was voted out, refused to leave office, or left office for a small period of time, and then came back in, changed his mind. Basically because he still had control of the military. So he was able to, he lost the election, did a coup afterwards,
right.
Did not give up power peacefully, and then was taking the country back. And the citizens of Egypt rallied to get him out again, and they actually used Twitter, and there's actually been a movie, I think, about this. I didn't see it, but there's lots of books and stuff out there. You can really get deep in it. But they used Twitter to organize, and then when they were actually going to physically take him out, capture him, they used Twitter to direct their little pop-up militia around the actual Egyptian army. Because it was one of these things, they were going through the streets of Cairo, and the Egyptian army of the new dictator that reinstituted himself was like shoot to kill.
Right.
Because they had he'd been monitoring some of the social media, but at that time so they were able to successfully trap and take that dictator down.
Yeah.
And not to say they couldn't have done it without Twitter, but it certainly helped it. Like they got it done in like a day or two, because they were able to mobilize and use that. So that's positive there. Then there's other examples, like you mentioned the example of the Me Too
movement.
Hashtag thing. So
yeah, I mean, look, with that
one's got positive and negative, but let's talk about the positive.
Yeah, I mean, because that's a broad one, and it's not. Yeah, it's hard to pinpoint. But with this, I guess here's the positive: is if nothing else, and really the social media aspect of it. I don't know for a fact. I haven't done research on who's been accused, who's been brought down due to something coming out on social media.
Right.
But the positive part of it,
and this is hashtag Me Too, meaning the woman's movement of I've also been
or some men, but
sexually mistreated
sexually
or sexually harassed.
Right.
Okay.
And so, for me, the good part about it, which I believe the principle, the thought behind doing it on social media was just to get the word out that it's okay if it's happened,
mm-hmm.
and you don't need to be ashamed, and you have every right to speak up and say, you know, that I have a brother or sisterhood, whatever you want to call it, of people who've been through the same thing I've been. It's like a big support system.
Sure.
In that regard, I think it worked wonderfully. I mean, I really think it did what it was supposed to do.
Right. Yeah, I agree. I think this is one of these things where I really enjoy, I guess, the time we're going through now, because I think that does kind of plow the way for folks to maybe start bringing up even other things that are those things like you don't talk about. And there's been some interesting things I've heard, and it's really just we're changing the culture, just in general. I don't know what role social media plays in that. It definitely is part of it.
True.
You know, because it's a hash. I mean, the fact that it's a hashtag, that means it's in social media. That's where hashtags come from. But that one, it is really opening the door and helping victims of those crimes be able to, it's okay that you're saying that you expose it, because before there was definitely a stigma on that.
Sure.
Because if you were a woman and you were, you know, trying to, there was a reason that you didn't, you know, because people ask that all the time when somebody comes out and says, hey, 10 years ago this happened, or 15 years, well, why didn't you say something when it happened?
Right.
Well, because it was 10 years ago is why.
Right.
And because you're instantly saying you're going to open up the door for all this judgment, which now it's not as bad anymore, because we're seeing, hey, there's a lot of people that are victims of this, and
right.
social media has helped that.
Oh, absolutely. And like you said, and okay, I also want people to know, like, that's an example. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to go on about that movement.
Right.
Because like you said, there's good and bad with it. I got plenty to say about that, but that's a whole nother podcast.
Sure.
But, yeah, I mean, but those examples, what they were intended to do via social media, they did.
Right.
And as you said before, and what's the reason for that? I feel, like you said, the reason is because it was a very concise point that you wanted to get across. It's like your goal was this. Like the Me Too movement, their goal was not to start outing everybody. Their goal was people who have been in the shadows and living with this can have a support group, and it's okay to speak out. And that worked.
Yep.
So you had your goal,
yep.
You accomplished it, and with that, maybe that one's not so much of an organized thing. I don't think anyone sat down and go, okay, you do this and you do this, not like the Egyptian issue, right?
Right.
But organization is a huge part of it, as you said. Like, clearly with the Egyptian situation, it had to have been.
Yep. Yeah, and I think I could be mistaken here. I've heard a lot of people discuss the Me Too hashtag. I think it actually started like 3 years ago, but it just kind of really picked up steam, obviously, because of all the different things that are going on and things that are being brought to light.
I hear different. I'm not sure.
So, me neither.
But
so we'll have to follow up. So our sub-intro to this podcast will make that correction.
Yeah, I mean...
But I really think it started, and it just didn't get... Because the lady that started it obviously wasn't famous, and the person she was accusing wasn't Harvey Weinstein.
Right,
or
right.
Weinstein, or whatever his name is. Or whoever. It wasn't Bill Cosby. It wasn't somebody that could get attention.
Right.
So, but...
Which, yeah, I mean...
But however that ball got rolling, you know, is kind of inconsequential, but it's good that it did. Because that one, I think, really is making a change. And just like you said, it wasn't, hey, let's go out and do this one particular... Well, it was really, let's create a forum.
Right.
And that was accomplished. But then again, it creates this thing, and I'll talk about it. It does kind of create this pile on. There's a slippery slope there. Because now what we want to make sure that we don't do is just toss out due process.
Absolutely.
Where the world becomes judge and jury all in one shot.
And, yes.
Because that is in many, many aspects of this. And there's examples in the Me Too world as well, but in all kinds of other social media, destructive behavior, the due process, meaning you're innocent until proven guilty, in a nutshell. That's not what all of due process means, but evidence, that whole process, it just tossed out the window.
Right.
And people's lives get impacted and ruined, and some justifiably, but some not. You know, and if you throw out due process, that is a major step backwards culturally.
Right, absolutely. And, the thing with that, I mean, and that's like anything, and I know this can never be controlled 100% within social media, but for people who, again, my issue is with people like that, there's a difference between a movement and an opinion.
Right.
And that's what pisses me off. Because people want to blur the lines. And to give you, all right, here's an easy one, the one that I had to suffer through, the headache of listening to a bunch of morons go on and on and on about.
Oh, good. Let's hear this.
Is the whole thing when Trump won the presidency, right?
Sure.
Okay. And I'm not talking, when I say this, it has nothing to do with the political end of things, at least in my opinion. I don't care, I'm sorry, I take it back. Of course I care if our president's good or not. But my issue was that with that one, it cracked me up. Because if you looked at social media, especially within that week, it's like, okay, you had some people who were just bitching, right? And that's fine. That's your right. There's your platform to do it. But then you had some people who, it was kind of the way certain things were read. Are you bitching or are you calling for a change in this outcome? And then you had some people that flat out were calling for change in the outcome. And clearly we see that none of that worked, right, in this situation. For one, because it's ridiculous. I mean, you can scream all you want.
Right. Well, be a little more specific in your example. Like, what do you mean? Like, what are the differences between people?
All right, so it's people like he
Name
sucks.
Names. Call people out.
Well, I can't remember. I mean, I remember people. I don't remember what words they said. But, when people were sitting there and they were going, oh, he's a womanizer, he's this, he's that. Okay, that's your opinion. That's you taking something that you've heard on the news or in the media, choosing either to believe it or disbelieve it, whatever. And that's your right. And there's that.
And it was known before the election.
Right.
Also.
But then you had people who were like, oh, he is this, so we need to, he needs to go. There needs to be, I heard people talking impeachment, and the dude hadn't even taken the oath of office. It was the election.
Hadn't even been inaugurated.
And it's like, okay, well, and that's ridiculous. And I'm actually, now that bringing that up, that's going to get me in a whole different source fight.
Sure.
Because I get pissed at people as Americans in general. It's like, if either you're retarded or you don't care about this country, but that's the process of it.
Sure.
We went through the process. You might not like it, because don't get me wrong, there's been shit that people have been elected that I don't fucking like.
Sure.
But I suck it up and deal with it because that person's our president, and I just hope for the best. But that's my opinion, and that but that has nothing to do with social media and things.
Right.
But it drives me nuts that people, I don't know, and that's the other thing. It's like they think they can do these things and say these things, and what is it you think is going to, so you hate Trump. Or whoever it is. I don't care if it's a Pillsbury Doughboy. I don't give a shit who it is.
Cecil the Lion Hunter Dentist Killer guy.
Right, him.
Okay.
It can be anybody. You hate them, so what are you going to do about it? So you're going to go and voice your opinion on Facebook or Twitter. And are you doing that just to vent? Or are you doing that because you want to see something change? Because if that's the case, the latter,
right,
you're not changing shit.
Right.
I mean, and like you've talked about before, because in all honesty, I don't know, you might be more popular than me, you might not. I don't know how many damn friends you have on these social media platforms.
True.
But the ones that are listening to you are the ones that you know are listening to you.
Right.
And you're preaching to the choir.
Yes.
So what are they going to do other than pat you on the back and tell you, oh yeah, you get them, you get them. You get who? Who the fuck are you getting? You're not getting shit.
Yeah, I think they call it now this new term for that. It's called an echo chamber. Because it's like whatever you say, it just comes right back to you. And the great thing about your echo chamber is you can refine that echo chamber. So maybe 3 weeks ago when you were echoing, you were throwing something out there, all the people that you expected a response from, you got that response. And then you do something else, and then, these people over here, they don't like what I'm saying about that. Well, I can just mute them.
Right.
Just mute them out. And now my echo chamber is nice and the way I like it to be.
Well,
it's a safe space, for my opinion.
That's a whole nother issue that I have with social media.
Sure.
And I'll throw this one out, even though it doesn't have to do. Well, I guess it does. The one thing, and anyone who knows me, you'll know, and for those of you who don't,
no one knows you,
right? And the people, hopefully, most of you don't know me. But the deal with me is on social media is I'm going to say what I'm going to say. I have no bones about it. I'm absolutely open and willing to listen to a difference of opinion.
Yep.
But I'm going to say what I'm going to say, and if you can argue and yell at me, cuss me out. The one thing I am going to do is I put it out there. I'm going to live with it, and I'm going to leave it. Sure. One thing I can't stand is all these pussies who do this bullshit where it's like, blah, blah, blah. The people in the echo chamber, then guess what? Someone like me creeps out of the echo chamber. They found a crack in the door,
right.
And they and all of a sudden the echo chamber is not echoing. It's like some substance in the room, like someone put some cloth on the walls and it's starting to resonate. And I'm like, and then all of a sudden, what's the answer to that? Oh, screw you! You're blocked. You're
right. Just because you challenge their opinion.
So what are you putting it out there for if you don't want an exercise of ideas to go back and forth?
Yeah, and there's a lot of that out there, folks. Just it's almost to the level of just a bar room conversation.
Right.
Where you're sitting around with all your buddies. You're not expecting to get into a huge debate, and huge debates are rare in that situation. And the thing is most people. I mean, and honestly, Jerry, I said, hey, nobody knows what you are, but you've got opinions on stuff. I mean, we're building a podcast around it because, your opinions on stuff are interesting. And so that's what we want to hear. But in a lot of cases, part of the thing on this is folks don't want to debate. They don't think stuff through. That's part of the issue. Because they're just grabbing that thing that came across their feed, like, yeah, I like that. Copy, paste, share, retweet, repost, whatever it is. And then you're off, but you just have to realize there is a little bit of responsibility that comes with that. You are saying, basically, if you put it in your public feed, anybody that searches it, there's your opinion right there for everybody to see. But it is, like you're saying, it is a little wimpy to delete you or block you just because you oppose, something, and you haven't offended them or called them out or called them a bad name or whatever, insulted them. I mean, I've been blocked by people just for disagreeing with them, and it's crazy, and I don't get it.
Well, because, and again, I don't know what, I know. It's like they're thin-skinned. Mm-hmm. They're right fighters, according to whatever they feel is right, obviously, and that's fine. I mean, that is your prerogative. You can do that. I mean, that's what everything, the country's all about. But I guess that's the thing that makes me mad. And again, there's other topics where we can lead into this, where this is we can go back and forth with this nonstop. But I guess my point is this: it's like if you're venting, then just make it clear you're venting.
Right.
But if you try to masquerade it as a movement or as you trying to change, be an actual force for change, that's not true. That's not happening. You're really not doing that.
Right.
Because anyone who knows, if you want to change something, just going out and spewing your opinion, and sometimes in a very venomous way, you're not changing a damn thing.
Right. I mean, I was listening to. It's kind of funny because you're really, it's like you're preaching to the choir,
right?
Basically, and I heard Chelsea Handler. Yeah, she told this really funny story. Where it was a Trump story, but it was, a few weeks after the whole grab the pussy thing came out, right? And so she was in New York, in the East Village, in New York, where she has either a friend's apartment was there or something. So, and I might be messing up some of the facts, but the point of the matter is she was in a part of New York. Now, New York is a very liberal town, even though that's where Trump's from.
Right, sure.
Right? Yeah. So she was in the East Village, I think, which is super liberal.
Yeah.
It's like a couple blocks down from NYU.
Right.
So wherever NYU is. Super liberal college. And there were these college girls out there with the pussy hats on and signs saying, "You're not going to grab my pussy." Right? and Chelsea was there watching them like out the window. And she wanted to, and she's like, no shit, no one's gonna grab your pussy. You're 2 blocks from NYU in the East Village.
Right.
She's like, go to Ohio and have your protest.
Yeah.
You know, like, what are you doing? You're just wasting everybody's time.
Right.
And she goes, now get out of my way. I want to get my bagel. That's what she said. I mean, it was pretty funny.
Yeah.
But that's the point. You know, it's like, don't protest that there. Go to Charlottesville, Virginia, and have that protest if you really want to do something.
Right.
You know, and that's the thing. It's just, folks, just for whatever it is, people just enjoy being part of something. You know, everybody's want to be included. You know, they want to feel like you're doing something, but you're really just not. You're not doing anything.
Right.
You're just really kind of making it worse.
Oh,
You know, in most cases. Now, if somebody's looking for their lost dog, well, sure. You know, missing kid, Amber Alerts, get the word out.
Right.
Of course.
Right.
You are helping then when the only goal is to notify. So, but if the goal is beyond that, you need organization, you need a measuring stick, you need a plan, and you need a goal.
Right.
And you need to say what that is so you can set out to achieve it. Now, using social media to recruit for that is great. That's actually what it's designed for.
Oh, and you
know,
put that in space.
Right, because you know what's great? You know what really worked out on social media the other day was my friend's Christmas party. It was great. Sent an invite out to all the people. Everybody said yay or nay, and boom, it worked. It was great because it was just about notification. The goal was have people come to the party.
Right.
You know, but it didn't say, hey, I'm going to, you know, now I might start one, boy, your Christmas party sucked. You know, maybe I'll start a thread about that. You know, how bad the cheese puffs were.
Right.
You know, because they weren't that good. So, you know, and then we can jump on that bandwagon, and then everybody can argue with me about that. But you know, that would be a bitch. I'd just be me ranting right about that.
Sure.
So, and I kind of like that. Maybe, you know, I think I've seen certain things like Facebook is considering you being able to label certain things so folks can actually go through, so folks can create their own safe spaces even better, further refine their safe spaces. So, like, if I'm friends with Jerry on Facebook and you say you label your post as political, well, then I can go to a setting that says, don't show me political posts from Jerry.
Right, just family stuff.
Yeah, but show me the family reunion pictures.
Right.
But not the political stuff.
I got you.
So,
well, maybe that needs to happen.
I don't know if that's good or bad. I think you should, you know, that's like ignoring your aunt's drinking problem. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, that's just Aunt Sylvia. She's wasted again. But but she's wasted. She's a drunk. She needs your help.
I don't view her
you know
issues
what I mean?
problem.
Well, right, but still, you know, but people, that's like the thing you don't talk about.
Right. But I can see both sides of that. If they do that, I mean, that would be interesting. Because, part of it is, if they do that, if you already seclude yourself in a bubble, that shortens that bubble even more, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But on the flip side, I have to say, too, it's like, when I'm on social media, there are certain friends where every once in a blue moon they come up with something that is great and interesting and I want to hear it.
Sure.
But outside of that, it's like, I don't care about your cat and what the damn thing does every 5 minutes. I really don't give a shit.
Sure.
I mean, to be honest, if I had my way, I would take it to a, Chinese restaurant and let them have their way with it. But, I mean, it's like I don't need to see that shit every 5 minutes.
Sure.
And so if I could block that, which there should just be a cat category, just cat, and it's like I'm going to block the cat. You know what I mean?
There probably is that for Twitter. I bet Twitter has a cat block.
Maybe.
but Facebook doesn't have one.
But yes, I see your point. For good or bad, I can argue it both ways. I mean, of course, if they do it, it'll be interesting where we can have a talk about that. But once we
cat blocking?
No. Once they do it, so we can practice it in general, where you can.
Oh yeah.
You can sit there and pick and choose exactly what topics you want to hear from that person.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure they're having issues with it because they would have rolled it out. You would think, but. I don't know. It's just there seems to be a lot of just junk out there that's just worthless. That folks it's just passing through. And I guess it's spam almost. you know. And I have to admit that I have slowly backed out of Facebook. I care less and less about it. You know, I Instagram more appeals to me because it's more just a scratch of the surface. It's more just a window shop
visual
type of thing, you know. And I don't have to get into all this because, you know. But I still, you know, I've kind of taken my Facebook feed down just to stuff I think is interesting and just like my family members. And there's a few folks that just content-wise I follow just because their content's interesting, because they use it for that. They don't use it for their own personal agenda. They're, you know, they're a writer,
right.
they're an author or something, so they're putting that out there. But yeah, and I just think we're and maybe we're just learning culturally our way through this, because it's certainly it's not going down in popularity, it's only going up. And you know, I think it adds on to that. There is something innate in us that wants this information. I mean, and I don't think we're making any huge discoveries here. I mean, before it was Facebook, it was the National Enquirer, you know, or in London, you know, the Daily Mail is still huge, right. Or whatever, you know, it's gossip. It's the you know, tip of the iceberg of what's out there, and we love that stuff, and folks love piling on.
Right, they do, and I mean, and again, it's like that's the thing, and don't get me wrong, there's some issues that people want to bring change about that you're just not going to, right? Like the Trump thing is, there's nothing changing what's happened. You bitching isn't changing shit.
Yeah,
I mean, now there's like the football situation. The NFL.
Right. Oh, yeah.
You know, people want to go on there, they want to, you know, boycott this, don't do this, blah, blah, blah. Okay. I mean, I understand your sentiment, and that's a perfect example, because that's just not an opinion. That's you seemingly, because you're asking of something. Mm-hmm. You're trying to start a movement.
Right.
Right? And again, who are you starting it with? Those 50 people that know you so well?
Right.
Okay, maybe they won't tune in to watch, you know, football on Fox or
so you're talking about on the NFL where the one player, I forget his name, you know,
Kaepernick started the whole ball,
took a kneel,
to
a kneel, right? So that's an interesting one. So I have to put on my tinfoil hat on that one, on my conspiracy theory, you know, because interesting subject. Now I've done no research. I've only heard people that I trust their opinion speak on this. Is that up until 2008. Or maybe it was even sooner than that. But recently, until very recently, players didn't even go on the field during the national anthem.
That's right.
And it started because the Army wanted, who is, if you watch NFL games, Army buys a lot of ad time on the NFL. You know why? Because a lot of the kids watching it, that's their market. That's their demographic they're looking for. Looking for healthy young men that didn't make it in the pros, right? Now they're white, but so the conspiracy theory is they work to deal with the NFL. Can the players get more involved in the national anthem and the flyover, so we can have that, you know, bigger tie into the game,
right?
And that the real big issue with it behind the scenes is not Jerry Jones, it's the Army going, hey, what about our deal? You know, we can't have these people kneeling because you're supposed to be loving it.
Well, okay.
You know?
That's the backstory of what's going on.
Yeah. I mean, I'm getting this down a tangent.
But most people don't know that.
Right.
And most people's opinion of it is whether
it's disrespectful
you have every right to do it or it's disrespectful.
Yeah.
And either side you're on, because this one's a perfect one, because they're both sides are vehemently like equal in their fervor of what they want to get out there.
Sure.
But for the ones who are like boycott, you know, it's like, okay, honestly, really, what are you doing? Because, I mean, what movement are you starting and how are you starting? It goes back to if you really want to do that, are you organized?
Right.
I mean, we know what you want.
So what you're saying is by boycotting, you're saying you're for the police killing people without the proper procedure. Is that what the boycott is? Because the kneeling is because of police violence, right? That's the kneeling.
Is it?
Yeah, I think so.
Hold on, but that's another problem.
Is that not the issue?
I'm not sure. No, because at one point it's like I'm not kneeling to respect the military because I don't feel the government's done anything for me. I mean, it could be.
I thought the original guy was was
Kaepernick?
was doing it because of police violence.
Was he?
Yeah.
But that wasn't this year. That was before.
It was? Okay. Well,
This year he didn't have a team.
Right.
Kneel.
Right.
He knelt at home.
Right. So, but I thought that's what started it, and then now people maybe have tagged on
for
to
him.
it.
But
Okay.
then now we're like multiple people on teams doing it.
Good.
It's like a political thing, right? It's not an issue.
But even more to your point,
right.
what is it?
Right. So what is it if you're going to boycott it? How are you going about to actually make that happen?
Right.
How is social media your conduit?
Right.
To do that, and it's not. You're ranting.
Sure.
That's the thing that's bullshit.
Yeah.
Don't fool yourself into thinking you're actually doing something because you're not doing shit.
Right.
That's what I can't stand.
Well, and you're also ranting about something, and this, good. I'm glad you brought this up because this brings up my point. It's, what are you even doing in general? You know, because this one is, so the players in the NFL want to take a knee during the national anthem to protest whatever they want to protest. Big fucking deal.
Right.
Okay? And you're mad at that. So get mad at something that means something. You know? I mean, if we list the social issues we need to take action on, I'm not going to say, let's list all the problems in America, because America's always had problems. Every country's always had problems. Everything has problems. But if you list, these are some things that, with the help of the general public, we might actually could do something about. That ain't even on the list.
No,
you know, what are you doing? You're just piling on.
Well, see, but here's the thing, and what? All right, look, this is where we're going to piss people off. I mean, I know that there's so many people there because I know people on both sides.
Sure,
right,
sure.
And to be honest,
but I'm sure there's points on both sides.
I think they're both stupid.
But it's
they're both idiots, and the reason I say that is because, take a knee. Stand your ground. I don't really give a shit what that person's taking a knee for. He can be kneeling down to pick something up. Right. He can be bending down to take a dump. I don't care what he's bending down for, as long as I don't see it.
Right.
What I mean, when I say see it, I mean pull his pants down, taking a dump. I don't care if I see him get on his knees.
Sure.
But you know what? Again, that's what makes me mad. That's what this country's about. He has that right to do that.
Sure.
Now, for the NFL, and you want to boycott it, this and the other, the only issue I would have is the NFL or that team as their employer. Mm-hmm. Are you accepting of this or not? And that's their choice to make. And if they say, I don't care, then they don't care. I mean, that's the way it goes.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, as for the people that are like, I think it's disrespectful. Sure, as an American, okay, but I can't really say it's disrespectful because I don't really know what the hell they're protesting. It's never been hammered out.
And you are stringing some things together. So, the national anthem represents America.
Right.
Okay. It doesn't necessarily represent the troops. It does indirectly. So by kneeling in the national anthem, are you disrespecting the troops? To me, that's a weak tie. It's a weak argument.
I see people
right?
saying.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But does it also mean you're disrespecting the post office too? What about the IRS? You're basically saying America sucks by kneeling.
Well,
you're not specifically because you're kneeling during a symbolic song,
which is about the military, though. I mean, it speaks to the military.
Sort of.
Rockets, red glare, bombs bursting in the air.
Yeah.
It's not saying deliver the mail tomorrow.
You're right.
You're
right. But it's about the Revolutionary War.
Sure. But I get it. I mean, look, I can see both sides. I guess my point is, and like you had said before, who gives a shit? I mean, is that really something to get up in arms about? And if you want to sit there and rant or try to make a movement on Facebook or Twitter, is that the one to really go at?
Yep, and I don't mean to get down. And you know what? Maybe there's a podcast there just in this because you and I both have a good buddy that was in the Gulf War, right? The original one. And he's been back, was in a couple other ones. I've got a cousin that was in Afghanistan. I've got a bunch of other friends. And what would be nice is to get their opinion on stuff like this because one of these things here is a lot of soldiers these days. It is a frequent story that they all come back and they say, hey, we're not defending anybody's freedom over there. We're a kill squad over there. We're over there to kill people that aren't on board with our country's political agenda.
Right.
We're not defending anybody in America. Nobody where they are is really threatening anybody in America.
No.
You know what I'm saying? So this whole I don't want to call it hero worship, but this false thing that we lay on the military these days that's just not true. And I'm not trying to disrespect, because like we're saying, I got good friends, I got family that have been over there and been hurt. My cousin got a Purple Heart over there, got his ass blown up over there. But he'll be the first one to tell you that we're not defending America over there. We're pursuing America's interests over
right.
there.
Absolutely.
But because, you know, it's this thing, and I'm getting us down a rabbit hole here, but it's this thing, it's this basic psychological experiment that when you risk something like someone's life, right, you can't just do that for stuff that's not worth it. You have to tag something on it. So if they're defending our freedom, then that's something worth dying for.
Sure.
Right? So we have to say that. Or it would be dumb for us to face the truth about it. Right? Because when was the last time we were really defending our freedom? World War II? And there's people that argue that too. But yes, I mean, America actually got attacked then. You know? And then they're going to say, oh, we were going after Osama bin Laden, whatever.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Okay? Well, that was 16 years ago.
Right, we're
okay?
still over there.
Right.
We can't come back.
So it's that whole thing. And I'm getting us way down, we're not off social media.
Right.
But that meme lives out there in social media.
Right.
Right? Like, it's untouchable. Like oh my God. I'm sure if anybody hears this podcast or any, you know, volume of people listen to this, right there, I just really screwed myself there. I'm going to get a bunch of hate on that because I talked about the troops. Oh my God, I talked about the troops.
Oh,
so, I mean, but that's one of those. That meme lives out there. That's the untouchable thing. You can't disrespect the troops. But my whole thing on that one is I don't think they really are. And I think that pile on social media, you know, gets it. They're not disrespecting the troops. They're saying, hey, I feel so strongly about this issue that I'm gonna take a knee during the national anthem because it's going to create a lot of attention.
Oh, well, let's be honest. I mean, that's the other thing. And you can't speculate. I mean, you can, but it'd drive you crazy. I mean, how many, because, you know, before this year, Colin Kaepernick is the one who knelt. Mm-hmm. All of a sudden, you got everybody popping out of the woodwork taking the knee.
Sure.
What are you taking the knee for? Do you feel strongly about it? Or are you jumping on that bandwagon? Right? Sure. It's like, are you just doing it because it's salacious, it gets me attention? I mean, and whatever. That's my point.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, I don't really care if you're doing it. I really don't. I don't care if you're doing it for a real reason or if you just want TV time.
Sure.
It's not important. It's the NFL.
Right.
It's a joke.
Yeah.
I mean, no one cares.
Right.
I mean, it's not like you're sitting there in a Senate committee meeting and all of a sudden you're like, I'm going to kneel.
Take a knee.
Like, okay, what the hell is that guy doing? You know, it's
Yeah.
like you're in a football game that no one.
That's
who
right.
cares?
That's right.
It doesn't matter, and that's my point. It's like, and that's the thing that cracks me up. If you look at most of the actual issues that people bitch and complain about on social media, where it seemingly wanted to start a movement, right? Which one of those, or if any, matter? Now, the Me Too, sure, maybe, yeah, those, it's funny, the ones that seem to matter are the ones that stick.
Sure.
You know, the NFL just doesn't hold water at all. I mean, that goes back to that whole bullshit, like, we can go back to the Occupy Wall Street crap.
Oh, yeah.
That held as much water as, like, the underwear that I've had that has, like, 1 million holes in the shit that I've had since I was 19 years old. It doesn't hold shit. I mean, it doesn't do anything.
Sure.
And so that's the thing. It's like, pick and choose your battle. That's another issue with this country. It's like, you only want to bitch about the shit that seems to be in the popular culture.
Sure.
Like, I know there are, but I would love to go on Facebook and see somebody just go, you know what? I can't stand that the fucking blue-footed booby is endangered. And I'm like, okay, I don't know what that is. I've never seen one, but whatever. It's not out there. It's not all. But, hey, that's a cause. If you're trying to rally, get support, see who's interested, great. But everybody, it's that mentality where they just jump on. That, you know, it's shit. I can't stand it.
Yeah, the Chinese freshwater alligator.
Yes.
Right?
Love that.
Endangered.
I love it.
Yeah, there's not a lot. I'd like to see, there might be an interesting correlation, because honestly, I wasn't even aware that the whole knee thing was last year. I thought it was all this season.
Oh, no.
So, yeah, that's how out of the loop I am. But it would be a nice correlation to see the post on that subject and then whether the NFL is playing that week or not. I'm sure once the season was over, that issue went away.
Of course it did.
Until now this season. And it didn't pop back up for basketball or hockey. You know, I don't think anybody did that, did it?
Well, and that's what's funny.
Maybe
I
it
find it weird that why is that the sport, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, if this were such a big thing, and if somebody really took the time to utilize social media to make this a movement,
right,
all athletes across all venues would be doing this.
Yes, especially in Canada. They were all kneeling.
Yeah, well, they should all kneel. It's like, you know, but it's bullshit.
Right.
It doesn't, I mean, it's not a big deal. It's someone jumping on bandwagon, everybody wanting to be part of something.
Sure.
But not really I mean, you might want the change, but you really don't care about enacting the change. That's what pisses me off.
Right.
I mean, you're just spewing shit. And I mean, I get that because I'm a huge spewer.
Right.
I spew crap, but I guess my issue is I'm honest about it. I'm not looking to exact change at all. I mean, I'm just like, screw it. I mean, this is my opinion. I'm throwing it out there. Live with it. Argue with me.
Yep.
Or ignore it. I don't care.
Yep.
But that's what it is. I just wish people would use social media in the right platform, or at least understand what it is they're doing.
Sure.
That's my thing.
Yep. And I do think it does give people the sense that they're doing something. I mean, you know, maybe it helps some people in some aspects. I don't know. Feel that they're making a change, that they're doing something versus nothing. But like I was saying, or when I was thinking about this before we pressed record here, you know, it is quite literally in some cases the least you can do, you know, or it's just barely more than the least you can do. The least you can do being nothing,
right?
You know, and sometimes doing nothing might be better than doing something, because if you're putting forward information that's circumstantial or incorrect, then it was probably better if you did nothing,
right?
You know, so. You know, really the least you can do for something is put it on your Facebook page, unless you're P. Diddy, you know, or somebody with 1 million followers.
Right.
Then that actually might do something against something done or lend your name to something. But yeah, really the thing to do is, if you want to make a change, is organize something to go make a change.
Right.
And then post about what you did in the real world on your Facebook page.
Right.
Because that seems to do stuff. If you do things in the real world, then you gain support by using social media to do that. Very rarely do you create something on an event that didn't already deserve to be there anyway. Usually you were just the first person to do it.
Right.
You know, things like that have to happen are going to happen.
Right.
You know,
well,
but
absolutely. And yeah, it's be smart about it.
Right.
You know, enact change in the right way.
Right.
Because it's one of those things, like you said, just what you were saying. Like, again, I'm going to use this because it's in my backyard. But the whole monument thing, it's like, I feel this, I blah, blah, blah. Okay, that's great you feel. We can't stand for this. We need to do this. We need to do that. Blah, blah, blah. Screw them. You know, whatever. It's like, okay, I mean, we've heard your opinion. You're saying we should do this, maybe this.
Yeah.
And maybe some of that might work, but then what is it you're doing?
Right.
Other than after you blurted it out, you're not doing a damn thing.
Right.
You didn't sit back. And I mean, are you waiting for like 1 million people to like start sharing your post, and then somebody in Oklahoma is going to go, "Damn, Mary said this. She's got it going on. I'm going to jump on this band." No, nobody gives a shit.
Yep.
I mean, if you're going to do something that's going to actually push change through, like you said, get out in the real world, do it, show examples of it,
Yep.
and also again, you got to do it productively. Because, like, the Charlottesville thing showed the ugliness of all of it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, and really, when you throw that...
I don't know. There were good people on both sides of that argument.
That's what I've heard. But how about this? Everyone that was there causing a stink was an idiot. They're a jackass.
Oh, my God.
So in you doing that, again, you're doing this and you throw it out there.
Right.
And you think, look at what I was a part of. Look, I'm being a dumbass.
Yeah.
I'm out here with a can of mace and a bat in my hand.
Yeah.
And I'll knock the hell out of anybody who disagrees with me. And I'm saying that, and that could be anybody on either side.
Sure.
And guess what? And this has been proven, so you think that's going to get you the support. Oh, you'll get followers. But you think that's going to get you the support you need, the true support, to help change this in a way that America can swallow.
Yeah.
It's not.
Right.
It's no different than the Black Panthers versus Martin Luther King.
Right.
Let's see which one did more good. Which one actually proved to help change.
Sure.
The one that wasn't being an asshole.
Right.
So don't be an asshole, but that's what these people do. It's like,
well, it's hard, and then the whole thing. So two aspects. They're talking about two things: the march in Charlottesville. The quasi white supremacist march, and I say that because it looked like they had a lot of fresh recruits in there. When you go look at the pictures. But the thing is, the reality is on that. That's one of those easy. To me, that's almost where social media kind of worked opposite, because really that's one of those things where if that hadn't become I'm talking, there's no way it couldn't have happened. There's no way that wasn't going to get huge media attention because it's the KKK marching in sheets. But I think the last numbers I heard is that active members that are known, and they track I forget, it's either the NSA or one of the Homeland Security agencies, whatever has dominion over domestic terrorism.
Right.
They track the KKK as a terrorist organization.
Sure, of course.
Right?
As you should.
So, and the last numbers I heard is that there's less than 5,000 members in the whole country.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so at their peak strength, let's say that's a really conservative estimate, and let's say there's 20,000 in the KKK. Right. What are they going to do? What is 20,000 people going to do? Right? So the thing is that's kind of where that whole social media and the media in general kind of worked in reverse, because that, if it did anything, it boosted them up for a while.
Yeah, sure.
No,
I agree.
We should have just ignored that, but because there was violence and the person ran through the crowd with their car and all that shit, and the carrying tiki torches and all that kind of crap. It was hard, and social media didn't help that, I don't think.
No, it did. No, I think. No, you're right. It didn't help it at all. But all right, so looking at that example. Here's the thing: the people, because they were utilizing social media the entire time they're doing this.
Right.
Once again, proves my point how they don't know. They're not really doing a movement, because before everything went down, the initial argument was the statues.
That was on Charlottesville? That's what caused it? Yeah, about...
It's just
really?
the statues.
Okay.
We like it, we don't like it, blah, blah, blah.
Okay, right.
But see, funny, then it turns into...
just the KKK.
White supremacists versus people who just can't tolerate that.
Sure.
Well, those are two different topics.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, you can't help it. I mean, okay... But again, I get pissed. Don't blend it together.
Right.
The statue being there has nothing to do with the KKK coming and doing what they did.
Right.
It's like the KKK being in existence is its own issue. The statues being up or down, it's its own issue.
Yep. Mutually exclusive.
And it pisses me off how they blend it together. And I'm like, I mean, the media does this.
Sure.
But, it's like, that's the kind of shit where it's like, you're going to go to social media. Again, what is your cause? What is it you're doing? Because, I mean, I'm a big believer, post what you really want to do.
Sure.
Because I know if it were me, absolutely, I'd be posting, I can't stand this group, or I can't stand this group. I'm going down there to bust some heads.
Right.
And that's what really I'm going to do. I'm not going down there to do anything about a statue. And that's part of the problem, where their movements, where they think they're fighting for, they're not fighting for what they truly say, or they're going about it the wrong way, and there's no impact there.
Yeah, there's so many. There's one of the themes I keep coming back to is there's so many opportunities for the information to get distorted. So you don't even really know. Like the whole thing about me. I mean, my only education on the whole kneel down thing is social media, and I don't even know what the hell it is.
Right.
Because I'm woefully ignorant on it, because social media is my textbook for that.
Right.
Right.
Well, I mean, we could go into that.
Right.
That's a whole other thing.
But the thing is to me, it's kind of like one of these, again, like the whole kneel down thing. how big of an issue is it really? Where is it on the list of things that we need to fix in the country? You know?
Okay.
And then once you start making those rules, where do they get applied and where do they not? You know, where does it stop?
That point you just made, here's the deal, and I agree. The problem is, nationally, that's not a huge issue.
Right.
Regionally, it is.
Okay.
And had Charlottesville not erupted like it did,
right,
it would still stay a regional issue. I mean, but that's another thing. That we could have a whole podcast on media manipulation. I mean, for God's sake.
Sure. Yeah.
But
don't insult my intelligence. What I read in the paper isn't real. Something like that. Is it the truth?
Well, I don't know. Do you read the paper? Who reads the damn paper anymore?
Yeah, I don't. Okay. Well, I think we've beat this one up pretty good. This one's sure to be controversial because, boy, we pulled scabs off a few things.
And that's fine. And you know what? I like I have before, I encourage everybody, send your messages in and let me know what you think. Whether you like it, you dislike it. I mean, at the end of the day,
I'm sure you'll respond.
Yeah, to a degree. I mean, I'm interested to hear. Do I care about your opinion? Not really. But I'm going to be interested
Who knows?
to see.
You might make a new friend.
I might. I doubt it.
Cool. So this has been Don't Insult My Intelligence. I'm Bo.
I'm Jerry.
And quit insulting our intelligence.
Please. Thank you.
So a couple quick things we wanted to add, references to things we needed to kind of follow up on in the podcast. One of them was about the Me Too hashtag. So to give credit where credit was due, that was actually started in 2007 by Tarana Burke in support of her organization for victims of sexual abuse. And then in October of 2017, Alyssa Milana retweeted it and really connected Tarana Burke's organization with the Me Too hashtag, and it got just wildly popular from there. We also talked about the protests that were happening in the NFL. That actually started last year, so we went and validated that in the 2016 season, actually in the preseason with the 49ers, and then it got more and more popular this past football season. Over 200 players participated in doing that. So just wanted to throw those two things in, which we weren't sure about when we were recording the podcast, so thanks for listening.